Do you feel it? That quiet voice inside whispering that maybe you're not enough. Have you ever wondered why some people who aren't the most gifted, the most talented, or the most naturally skilled somehow end up winning in life? This one question changes everything. What separates those who stop when things get hard from those who rise, even when the odds scream against them? Your journey starts now, right here. See, the world has convinced us that talent is the golden ticket, that if you weren't born with natural brilliance, you're already behind. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Talent can give you a head start, but obsession wins the race. Obsession is not a hobby, it's not casual interest. It's that fire in your chest that makes sleep feel like an interruption. It's the refusal to settle when others quit. It's the voice that says, I'm not stopping until I build what I came here to build. And here's what's at stake if you ignore this truth. If you rely only on talent, the moment life tests you, the moment comfort fades, you'll fold. You'll collapse because talent without obsession is fragile. But obsession without talent, that can move mountains. So ask yourself, what would happen if you allowed yourself to be consumed by the pursuit of your dream? Not halfway, not part-time, but fully obsessed. Because obsession, not talent, will be your ultimate edge. Here's the truth. Most people give up long before they even scratch the surface of their potential. Not because they lack talent, but because they lack the obsession to keep going when the journey gets ugly. Think about it. How many people do you know who started something with passion, only to abandon it after the first setback? The gym memberships that gather dust, the business ideas scribbled in notebooks, never launched, the dreams of writing, painting, speaking, or building that dissolve under the weight of everyday excuses. This is where most people give up. Not because the dream was impossible, but because the discomfort was unbearable. Talent wasn't enough to carry them through the storm. And if you're honest with yourself, you've probably been there too. We all have. That moment where rejection stings so deeply you wonder if it's even worth it. That point where progress feels invisible, and quitting looks like relief. But here's the perspective shift. You're not alone in this fight. Every single person who ever achieved greatness, whether in business, sports, art, or leadership, stood exactly where you are now. Doubt pressed down on them. Fear screamed at them. And still, they pushed forward. The real obstacle standing between you and your goals isn't talent. It's the willingness to keep going when your emotions beg you to stop. And the challenge is deeper than discipline. It's not just about doing the work. It's about becoming obsessed with the process itself. It's about showing up when no one claps, when no one notices, when no one cares, because you care. Here's the universal struggle. People crave the result, but despise the grind. They want the trophy, but not the training. They want the applause without enduring the silence. That's why obsession matters. It carries you when motivation dies, when discipline wavers, and when talent alone is not enough. So let me ask you again. What stands between you and your goals? Is it truly lack of ability, or is it lack of obsession? Because the harsh reality is this. The gap between who you are and who you could be isn't measured in talent. It's measured in how deeply you're willing to immerse yourself in the fight. The turning point, mindset shift. It's all in your mind. That's where every battle is won or lost. The moment you realize that your greatest weapon isn't talent, it isn't luck, it isn't even opportunity, it's perspective. That's the turning point. See, most people approach challenges with a fixed mindset. I'm just not cut out for this. Or worse, maybe I'll wait until the timing is better. But let me ask you, when has life ever handed you perfect conditions? The truth is, perfection doesn't exist. There's no perfect time, no perfect path, no perfect set of skills. What separates those who rise from those who fade is the decision to reframe the struggle. Imagine two people facing the same obstacle. One sees it as proof they're not good enough. The other sees it as training, sharpening, shaping. Same problem, different story. And that story is what makes or breaks them. When you shift your perspective, obstacles stop looking like walls and start looking like weights. And what do weights do? They build strength. Every no, every setback, every closed door isn't evidence you should quit. It's resistance. The very resistance that grows your resilience. So here's the mindset shift. Stop asking, why me? And start asking, why not me? Why shouldn't you be the one to push through? Why shouldn't you be the one to rise when others fall? Opportunity is not about luck, it's about endurance. Life rewards the one who stays in the game long enough to collect the prize. Here's the secret. Obsession is not just fire, it's focus. It's the ability to say, this pain isn't punishment, it's progress. This delay isn't denial, it's development. When you can shift your thinking this way, you stop running from discomfort and start chasing it, because you understand discomfort is the doorway to growth. So let this truth sink in. The way forward is inside you, not in some external stroke of luck, not in waiting for a miracle. It's in choosing to see every challenge as fuel instead of friction. That's the mindset that outworks talent. That's the obsession that wins. Fear isn't the enemy. Doubt isn't the enemy. Doing nothing, that's the enemy. Because fear will always be there. Doubt will always whisper. But here's the paradox. Fear doesn't stop you. Inaction does. And the cure for fear is not waiting for confidence. It's movement. Think about it. The first time you step into the gym, it's awkward. The first time you speak in front of people, your voice shakes. The first time you chase a dream, you question yourself at every turn. That's normal. But every single one of those fears loses power the moment you take action. Action quiets doubt. Small steps. Big impact. Momentum doesn't come from motivation, it comes from movement. Here's what most people get wrong. They think they need clarity before they move, but clarity comes from action, not the other way around. You figure out the path by walking it, not by standing still and thinking about it. Let me break it down. Fear says, you're not ready. Action says, maybe not, but I'm starting anyway. Fear says, what if you fail? Action says, then I'll learn faster than everyone else. This is why obsession is so powerful. Obsession doesn't wait for the perfect plan. It creates it in real time, through trial, error, and relentless movement. Picture this. You're building a fire. At first, it's just sparks. Small, almost invisible. That's your first action, writing the first page, making the first call, taking the first step. It feels insignificant. But the second step adds fuel. The third builds heat, and suddenly the flame grows, the fire spreads. That's how momentum works. Tiny actions compounded into unstoppable force. But here's where most people fail. They mistake fear for a stop sign. They think doubt means don't. But doubt is not a stop sign. It's a signal. It means you're on the edge of growth. So what do you do next? You lean in. You take the uncomfortable step. You make the call you're afraid of. You put your work into the world, even if it's imperfect. Because what you do next matters most. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Remember this, fear shrinks when you chase it, confidence grows when you earn it, and obsession thrives when you feed it with daily relentless action. Don't wait for motivation, it's unreliable. Don't wait for talent, it's overrated. What you need is movement, because movement creates progress, and progress creates belief. And belief, that's the real superpower. Not the kind you wait for, but the kind you build, one step, one action, one fight at a time. So ask yourself, what's the action you've been avoiding because of fear? And what would happen if you stopped waiting and did it today? Because obsession isn't about thinking, it's about doing. And every step you take against fear is proof that obsession is real. Stories and relatable examples. Meet Sarah. She wasn't the most talented student in her class. In fact, she failed her first 2 attempts at medical school entrance exams. Everyone around her said, maybe this isn't for you. But Sarah had something most of them didn't. Obsession. She treated every failure not as a verdict, but as a lesson. She studied when others slept. She rewrote notes until they became second nature. And while her classmates coasted on natural talent, she built discipline brick by brick. Years later, Sarah became not only a doctor, but one of the most respected specialists in her field. Was it talent? Not really. Was it obsession? Absolutely. She simply refused to stop when everyone else did. Now let's talk about Michael. He dreamed of becoming a writer, but every publisher rejected his work. Some said his style was too raw. Others said it would never sell. 99 rejection letters sat in a drawer. Most people would have quit after the 10th, or maybe even the 1st. But Michael didn't care. He kept writing, kept sending manuscripts, kept pushing. On the 100th try, his book was finally accepted. That book went on to become a bestseller. Today, his name is recognized worldwide. The lesson? Obsession doesn't count the rejections. Obsession counts the attempts. Here's the truth. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be relentless. Sarah wasn't the smartest. Michael wasn't the most gifted. What they had in common was a mindset and a hunger that refused to back down. And here's the best part. Their stories aren't rare. Every breakthrough you admire, every athlete, artist, entrepreneur, leader, behind them is a mountain of unseen effort, of nights they stayed awake, of doubts they pushed through, of failures they absorbed. So what can you learn? That obsession doesn't look glamorous. It looks like late nights, bruised egos, unanswered calls, and unseen battles. But it's in those hidden places that greatness is born. If Sarah and Michael could rise above failure, so can you. Their proof is your permission. Their story is your strategy. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when you finally feel ready. Right here. Right now. Because every journey has a crossroads. One road is crowded. It's filled with people who chose comfort, who listened to fear, who let doubt win. The other road, it's quiet, almost empty. It belongs to those who choose obsession. Which road are you standing on? Picture it. You're at the edge of two choices. One says, stay safe. Don't risk it. Blend in. The other whispers, step forward. Chase it. Build it. This is the defining moment. The climax of every story. The hero is faced with a decision that defines everything that comes next. And guess what? You are the hero of your story. This is the chapter where everything pivots. You might feel the weight of fear pressing on you. You might hear the voices of doubt telling you it's impossible. But here's the truth. Fear only has power if you let it. Doubt only wins if you stop moving. So what will you choose? To stay or to rise? Here's a fact most people don't realize. The cost of playing small is always greater than the cost of chasing your obsession. Yes, chasing your dream costs time, energy, sweat. But living with regret, that costs your soul. So stand tall at this crossroads. Feel the fire in your chest. Remind yourself that obsession is your edge. It outworks talent, outlasts fear, outshines doubt. This is your moment to declare, I will not quit, I will not bow, I will not settle. Because the defining moment is never comfortable, never convenient, never easy. But it is always worth it. So, hero of your own story, what will you choose? Now is the time, not later, not someday, right now. Because every moment you delay, the fire inside you dims a little. Every hesitation gives fear more power, and every excuse pushes your dream another step away. But here's the good news. Your future doesn't depend on what you did yesterday. It depends on what you choose today. So let's get practical. Obsession isn't built overnight. It's built one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one small step at a time. You don't need to have the entire mountain figured out. You just need to take the first step up the hill. That might mean setting your alarm an hour earlier tomorrow. That might mean putting your phone away for 2 hours tonight and focusing on your craft. That might mean sending one message, making one call, taking one risk you've been avoiding. It's not about perfection. It's about momentum. Because momentum creates confidence, and confidence fuels obsession. You don't have to do everything today. But you do have to do something, and here's a challenge for you. Take the next 24 hours and commit to one act of obsession. Just one. Prove to yourself that you are willing to go further than most people will. Prove to yourself that you are done waiting for motivation and ready to act with discipline. Because your future self is watching. Imagine meeting the version of you 5 years from now. Do you want them to thank you or resent you? Every choice you make today decides which version you meet tomorrow. So ask yourself, what kind of future do you want? One filled with regret or one filled with pride? You already know the answer. Now it's time to act on it. Remember, obsession isn't a curse, it's a gift. It's the fire that makes the impossible possible, and that fire is already inside you. It just needs you to fan the flames. The fiercest power lies not in never falling, but in each time standing taller than before. Now, rise. So here we are, at the end of this message, but the beginning of your next chapter. You've heard the stories, you've felt the challenge, you've stood at the crossroads. And now, there's only one thing left, the choice you make today. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the world's permission. Don't wait for talent to carry you. Outwork it, outlast it, outlove it. Because obsession is not the enemy, it's your ultimate edge. So here's the promise you make to yourself right now. I will take one step today that my future self will thank me for. And remember my words. The fiercest power lies not in never falling, but in each time standing taller than before. Now go. The world is waiting for your